The sport I primarily played was rugby league. Growing up in La Perouse, that was the number one sport. It's more of a religion, sort of a part of the culture.
I started playing rugby league when I was 6 with the La Perouse Panthers, and that was in the junior division as a mixed comp. And then when I was 18, I first played for the Redfern All Blacks, and then from then on I started playing in All Stars, New South Wales, and then moved on to play for South Sydney Rabbitohs, and then from there got to the chance to play in the NRLW with the Sydney Roosters. From that I got the chance to play for the Prime Minister 13's Australia team.
I played netball from the time I was 9 years old until just after I was 50, I think. And you know, when I was 17, 18, I got selected for New South Wales. And then in, I think it was 1983, 84, I was selected to play netball for Australia. So I played for Australia for a few years, so that was great.
My old man gave me a few boards before he moved up to Queensland, and you know, he said, "Here, I've got a couple of boards for you," and I said, "Oh, I don't ride stand-up, you know, I'm only a boogie boarder, you know, because that's all we used to do down Yarra Beach." So I took the boards, and one day I just went for a surf down Maroubra, you know, starting to figure out what to do. It was real fun, hence the reason why I wanted to bring La Perouse board riders back up.
Yeah, the sports I played, I started off playing rugby league with the La Perouse Panthers. At a young age, 4 and 5. So I played right up till I was about 18, 19 with rugby league. And then I went to Matraville High School where there was no rugby league, it was rugby union, so I started playing rugby union. With rugby union, we started playing there when we were 13. There was a lot of Coorie's boys involved in that, the Yellow Brothers, Darryl Lester. So a lot of boys from the Lapa started playing rugby union, and I did a lot of sailing. My dad was a sailor, so he sailed from Yarra Bay Sailing Club on Botany Bay, and we started sailing Sabos, which is just an 8-foot boat that we sailed by ourselves.
Took up boxing at about 23, 24 years old. Had me first amateur fight at 25. Had 3 amateur fights, and then jumped straight into the pros. 30 odd fights, undefeated for the first 29, and then met a guy called Roy Jones. I did also beat Reuben Kennedy for the New South Wales title. That was before the Australian title. But yeah, and I got through him, then Garth Cushion came along and then kept racking them up and winning every fight.
I got introduced to golf. We used to muck about. We were young blokes up and down the side of the hill up there at the reserve. We'd have one club each and play 3 holes on the same bit of grass. A lot of the guys originally from a very early age used to go pillar and caddy for non-Indigenous golfers, and their only claim to fame at the time was caddying for some of the big known stars back in the old days.
I was only 12 years old when I started my cricket, but anyway, I played my first state game up in Rockhampton with my cousin Ruth Sims. Then I went on to the next 5 years. I played state 1. I was all about 40 years old. We come into a game called Vigor Hour. And in that time, the footballers had their team, and every Good Friday, we'd play the men. That's how good we were, playing against men.
I just want to have a chat about a couple of our old men that trialled for the Olympics or made it on their way to the Olympics. One was my grandfather, Les Davison. He, in 1956, trialled in boxing to make the Olympics. He made it all the way through to the final bout and won the fight, but however wasn't allowed to compete. At the time, it was still in the days of the Aboriginal Protection Board. The other guy I'd like to talk about is Uncle Alan Foster, who at the same time in '56 was trialling as a sprinter in the 100 metres. Uncle Alan Foster was, lightning. He was really quick, and unfortunately he didn't get all the way to the Olympics. But I think it's worth a special mention that we have these older guys that really paved the way for the younger generations to be able to be the best that they can be.
Everybody in Lapa played sport. It was just a sports-mad community, and all of the boys in Lapa played football, and having 7 brothers, I was often at football, and so being able to watch my sisters play sport and the women from Lapa of that age group was really influential with me. I remember watching my sisters and women like, the Campbell sisters, Gina Stewart, Ava Longbottom, the Amados, gosh, the list goes on.
Because I wanted to be like my uncle at the time who played for the Bulldogs, and then my brother as well was always just following him around and his friends, playing tackle footy with them. So I think just being around the Perouse Football Club inspired me to want to play football as a young kid. And then as I got older, I met people like Talina Simon, Lavina O'Mealy, Beck Young, Bo Dela Cruz, who I started to play All-Stars with, Becca Riley. Those girls really brought me along and just really showed me what it was like to be part of a women's team as an adult.
My grandfather, he spoke about his time trialling and boxing. We held it in high regard. He loved having a chat about it. In his later years, we'd sit down and yarn about what it takes to become the best in your field, and you always refer back to you got to train. It's all about preparation.
I followed my mum and dad to football to watch my brothers, my cousins. I grew up with it. Well, when I was little, like 1970, they had the knockouts. Main game was in Redfern, and it was unbelievable. It was going there meeting all relatives and seeing my mum and dad happy, meeting relatives and my aunties and uncles, cousins. But it was more than that. It was just going every year, was looking forward to it every year.
There's one fellow that stands out for me, and that's Barry Channel. He was an unbelievable surfer, and the crowds that he used to draw to these events. Every time I see Barry now, I grin up at him. He's just such a good human, and my father's probably been the most influential. There's a lot, but my father, he had a tight network of friends, and their outlet was surfing, diving. It was just a connection with the ocean. So I guess I could thank my father for that.
We had a lot of very good players at La Perouse when I was growing up. From La Perouse, Eric Sims, George Longbottom. So there was some good players around always at La Perouse playing football. So Lapa Stewart, who played with Roosters. So that was very league orientated, I know that, but there's still sporting icons you look up to, and whatever sport you want to play, you want to succeed to your best ability, and I think people like that showed it is achievable, and it gives you a lot of hope for the future.
Kev was doing a bit of boxing on the side, and then Kev said, why don't you have a fight? And I said, yeah, I was thinking of it. Yeah, well, he was the main reason I got into it, because of his fitness and that, and it was a massive influence on me, just to see my older brother doing great things for himself, and being recognised as being Aboriginal as well.
We had blokes like Les Davison. Well, I worked with him. Me and my father worked with Les. I've always called him Doc Davo. So him and my father were playing, Kevin Longbottom, John Longbottom, Keith, Rick, Eric Longbottom, you name it, the Longbottoms were everywhere. But then you had guys from the other side of the family, Bert Longbottom and his brother-in-law, Vic Simon. Because the La Perouse Football Club was always built on the idea of us being a united team. So the same principles were adopted with the golf.
We had the old ladies, my mother, she played before I was born. Back in the early 30s, there was Norma, Sims, Betty and Ruth, another one, Lurleen Timbry. The woman I admired most of all was Joan Foster, but she played sports long before I did, because in those days there was no women playing sports. What took over was netball.
I knew all the older boys were playing and players I looked up to. You know, in the forwards you had Clint Cook, Fred Briggs, Matty Rook, and the likes. Obviously in the back line was the veterans there, the Michael Lyons and Christopher Lyons and Graham Lyons, Tim Miller, Corey Stewart. These are players I looked up to since I was a young kid, and I got the opportunity to play with them in, I think it was 2001, my first knockout. I was fortunate enough to win the knockout with them and go through, and that was one of my fondest memories.
Everything we did at Lapa was a game. So we developed a lot of, agility, dexterity, I think depth in spatial awareness that I think sets Aboriginal athletes apart from other athletes. And so as I progressed up the representative ladder, I think a lot of the things that we were doing on the street, playing football with 30 kids on the road, or playing footy on the beach with another 30, 40 kids, you learn how to sidestep, you learn how to pass, you learn how to think ahead. So yeah, as you move up the ladder, I think a lot of those skills are a real advantage. And I think that they're the kind of skills that I think Aboriginal athletes bring to any sporting endeavour.
Oh, there's so many young girls playing for La Perouse right now. That's amazing, and they get the chance to play from under sixes through to being women. So it doesn't stop when they're 12, which means that their talent already, they're years above what I would have been at that age, or any women at that age, because they don't stop playing footy. There's some young ones that are coming through. You got Casey, Taff, Tamiko Duckett, Aisha Duckett, well, all the Ducketts really.
Oh, you know what, there's some awesome work happening in netball in Lapa. Our own Rebecca Hoskins was just recently recognised as an assistant coach by Netball New South Wales at their state awards night. Huge accolades for her. The coach of the year was Ali Tucker, and her influence, I think, with a lot of Aboriginal netballers is really starting to show. Pam Brown's been around forever, and she continues to, motivate and inspire and organise. She's really good at that. So, we've got some beautiful young players emerging. Gosh, young Charlotte Ryan for one, the Duckett girls. And younger girls. We've got some stunning young netballers coming through. So I think the hard work over the last couple of decades by a lot of people is really starting to bear fruit now. But, it's our women that continue to be the ones that are investing time in our young people. So, yeah, a really remarkable legacy.
Yeah, in more recent times, we've had people, community members, play in the Commonwealth Games. I think Murray Longbottom is the most recent in the rugby sevens. He's a superstar of the game around the world. Overseas, he's a sensation. Yeah,
that'd have to be the two Campbell brothers, Albie and Ricky. They are great surfers, unbelievable. And when we got back together and stuff, we went down to Bells. It really started up a movement, and a lot of people wanted to buy in, and it was perfect. Something that what we wanted to do. We wanted to encourage the Koreas around here back into surfing, because we're, sort of a little bit forgotten about in that sort of sport.
I think it comes back to the previous participants from La Perouse that have played. You want them to get involved with the young kids, to show them the enjoyment of playing as a team sport as well, and what they can achieve, because let's face it, the community really strives on achievements, and I think sport is a way through that. You can't really pinpoint one person. I think it's just you want people to get involved that have gone through the systems, and then they can guide the young kids.
Well, hopefully a couple of my sons might get into it, but look, I'll help any kid if they come to me and they put their hand up and they're going to be serious about it.
Who are the people in the community that you think are influencing the next generation?
Well, you're one of them, son. And my son, you know, you're there helping. You're part of it. You're taking over now. You know, you're doing it.
Getting the chance to play all the different rep teams, gave me the chance to represent my community, which I loved. I loved being able to represent Lapa, and anytime I played for a team it would be, yeah, I'm from Lapa, I'm representing Lapa, especially in that all-star stage where I hope that some of the young girls coming through got the chance to see that and see that if I can make it, so can they.
So it really does bring us together. It brings us together physically as well as emotionally, and you know, for that period of time we've got a single vision, which is like magic to be part of. But as well, I know sport is really important for our physical well-being as well as our social, emotional well-being. It's about, you know, how we maintain active lifestyles, I think. I think games are a traditional way that Aboriginal people learned and taught. And I think we continue that legacy by, you know, teaching people about what it means to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves.
It means everything, Al. Surfing's a great outlet for kids and stuff. It's healthy, it's therapeutic. The best surfers out there are the ones that are having fun, you know.
I think at the start, sport was a good way for Koori boys and girls to express themselves when living in times where they couldn't do it in day-to-day life. I think through sport and the achievement of the Indigenous people in sport has shown the wider community that they're not just sports people, they're very smart people, and it gives them self-determination, and that's what we need.
It does give you a lot of respect for others, respect for yourself.
Means a lot because it makes me happy. And seeing the little children playing sports makes them happy, you know. And you see them happy, I'm happy.
As a kid, yeah, we grew up in a rough and tough environment, you know, and all around us there was this, you know, fear of not only racism but the police in their role in making or intimidating the individual people within the community, the Aboriginal Welfare Board and their tactics in, you know, just walking into your house and, you know, demanding to see the kids and not even bother knocking. So, you know, there was always that fear of, not only racism, but the way the public, sort of looked at us. It wasn't until we really started playing football together, rugby league, and the club itself, Perouse United, that for me was the catalyst for unity in a big way. You know, if it wasn't for Perouse Rugby League United, we wouldn't be the sort of community that we are. But rugby league played a big part in unifying the place.
Lapa was fortunate enough to come get the win and win the first ever Aboriginal knockout. Something very made history. Can't take that away from us.
I know the benefit when things are tough for kids at home. Sport can be that one place where they're free and they're safe. And you know, like me, I surprised myself. It was the one place where I felt good about myself.
So many of the different things that the guys and the women were good at, you know, but they failed to get the recognition that they deserve. And hopefully when this is completed, this little video and these snapshots are taken become part and parcel of the history of Laperouse, that everyone, you know, takes notice of what, yeah, the community's like.